Hello, you're listening to Ministerium Radio, and I'm your host, Nick Coffee. Tonight is a special broadcast, listener, because I have brought my own essay on my own favorite subject. Now, we were also supposed to have Ray Corman on the show, but he escaped somehow. But we have to deal with what we have, listener. That's the deal. The first entry of tonight was written by yours truly. It's entitled Particles. Particles are fascinating. They're everywhere, and they take up so little space in our existence that they might as well be light years apart. From subatomic to macroscopic, they're man's best friend. When you smell the roses, you're smelling the airborne particles and pollen from the plant itself. These odorant particles are detected by your olfactory receptors, after which this message is relayed directly to the brain. Yes, particles are wonderful, but there is another side to particles. While we have always loved and needed particles, we are also at constant war with particles. While most particles are good, there are also bad particles. And bad particles need dealing with. I'm talking about poisonous gases, listener. House fires, volcanic eruptions, and pollution itself. All of these are largely caused by particles. And He's in the walls. He's in the goddamn walls! Well, listener, he got away. God knows which floor he's on by now. Back to particles. We are on our turf down here. Out in the vastness of space, that's completely different. Micrometeoroids are particle-sized clumps of space debris. Dust out in space doesn't seem very scary, but when accelerated, these particles become nearly invisible projectiles. Relative to a spacecraft in orbit, a micrometeoroid can travel as fast as 10 kilometers per second. That's just around 22,369.4 miles an hour. In space, these particles are known as micrometeoroids, but a micrometeorite, which is a micrometeoroid that travels into Earth's atmosphere, are more or less harmless. In fact, around 3,000 tons of extraterrestrial dust lands on our planet each year. In conclusion, I believe we should give thanks to the particles for making existence possible. But particles should also be held accountable for those that they hurt. Well, I believe rarely there has ever been a better case for particles in the history of particles. The next story is an oldie, dated 1967 and written by someone calling themselves M. I have always loved you. I want you to know that. That is why you must know my full story, every bit of it. When I was young and the world was beautiful, you were finding your wings again before I found mine. I was taken by someone, men in strange suits. The year was 1899, and as a lover of nature, I found myself outside the crummy blocks of concrete that folks so love. I remember the wet, sour smell of the earth and leaves. That smell that lets you know that snails are abound and happy. Ohio has magic in it. This I am sure of. It's how they took me. I don't loathe my gifts. If I had them on that day, I wouldn't need to hide from you, Daisy. I found a set of stairs. Not a ladder, but a solid set of stairs. I counted 8 steps, leading to nothing at all. It was as if the stairs had been cemented, with the idea in mind to build the house it would have belonged to after the fact. Why not? I thought to myself. I remember how I used to think back then. I took all 8 steps, if nothing else, to make it to the top. I remember what I told myself. I told myself it was fun. After my foot met with the last step, I encountered something that I still cannot explain. I blinked my eyes, and once they opened, they saw where I had come to be, inside of a padded cell. That is where I met the men in the suits. They accused me. They told me they knew that well, listener, I'm not gonna read this part because it has nasty words. All I can say is the words rhyme with bigger cover. Remember, folks, it was a different time. I doubt this M was actually a bigot. If anything, this speaks volumes about the men in the suits. Let's continue. They drugged me and experimented on me. Weeks this must have gone on, and I was resigned to my fate. You, Daisy, thought I was dead. You were probably moving on. I do not remember the date, but I remember how many days it had been when it happened. 138 scratch marks on my padded wall. 138. They put me in a machine. They told me that by extra mundane law, my freedom would be given to me should they succeed in operating the machine. They seemed nervous. For the first time, I saw them express emotion. As they pulled the lever, the machine pulled at my physiology. I could physically feel my body changing. I could physically feel my brain and other organs deform inside me. I begged for sweet release, but it didn't come. Wings began to take form. My eyes became many. My screams for mercy became gargled, throaty noises, and nothing more. I lost the ability to speak, but I gained the ability to see. With my new, many eyes, I saw the world as it was, and with my mind I could see the world as it would be. I saw a duke killed by a black hand, wires that shred and cut, trenches of sick and dead. I did it. I earned my freedom. I would warn the world. I would save it. But I didn't. I didn't because I couldn't. If I couldn't even speak my mind to you, dear Daisy, I could speak my mind to no one. I tried to warn them. In the skies I shrieked and swooped. I flashed my peering red eyes into their world, but their eyes were fixed on the sights of their rifles. I remember one man. He saw me. A grenade had a moment before blown his friends to bits, and there he was, catatonic, smiling maniacally. He saw me, but I can't know if he saw me. I flew the field of war for years. I moved in the smoke and fog. You must know, Daisy, that I tried to help. I really did. In the ire of war, however, and one sees naught but death and fire. The jungles too proved too hot for my new physique. If I had stayed there, the chemicals would have got me anyway. I remember when I saw you last. Ohio. You were much older, so much more beautiful than I remember. I remember watching you, as you sat with your husband inside that small, marine blue car. I knew you wouldn't know it was me, but I thought I could help. I really thought I could help. When that bridge collapsed and your car was hurled into the waters with the others, I wanted to die with you. So that is what I will do. I will crawl into a cave meant for holier things and eventually die. Goodbye, my sweet daisy, my sweet little thing. I hope to see you in God's pastures. Wow. Wow. I think we might have stumbled onto something very big here. Wings, many eyes, bridge collapse, Ohio. This could only mean one thing, listener. This author, this M, as he calls himself, is none other than the Jersey Devil. Ironic, though, that it would take love to kill the devil. I suppose it's the perfect crime. I won't lie, listener. Right now I want nothing more than to catch Ray and make him come down here to talk about his show, known as Who Wants to Be a Flesh-Eating Amoeba, and the book he wrote in the wake of his success, Intelligent Amoebas, Where to Find Them and How to Kill Them. I would like to grease down and slip into that air vent myself. However, if I do, will I too become a wall person? Will I be the scurrying that you hear in the house? No, scurries just aren't my thing. That's all the time we have for tonight. I think it's important to remember to count your blessings. I feel like that's the moral of tonight's episode. Count your blessings before you're turned into a cryptid. If you're listening, I would love to one day have you on the show. And Ray, if you're listening, mark my words, I will find you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to another episode of Ministerium Radio. Remember to hit all the bells and subscribe and click all the buttons below this video to stay up to date on future videos. And that's about it. See you next time.